Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking a look at the Grand Party leaders that we have over in OPTC as of the end of the 10th anniversary. And 10th anniversary brought a very interesting extra Grand Party, which was awesome. It gave you infinite wins, it gave you as many retries. You could obviously still not see the teams. However, with infinite retries, like, it really didn't matter. So it was a really nice way for people to test out a bunch of units and figure out what works within Grand Party and how to use particular characters. And obviously with the 10th anniversary Sugo Fest units, the Super Sugos and the Anniversary Roger, we got a lot of new stuff added to this tier list. We have a Grand Party going on right now, and I thought this was a great time to actually release this particular video coming into the new era of Grand Party. And I'm going to state there's some big changes coming, and I did this tier list like 2 months ago, and we're going to be updating it today. But if you enjoy this kind of stuff, let me know down below. Belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Let me know who your number one leader is, and let me know if you agree or disagree. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. Remember, it's just my personal opinion playing the game. I love Grand Party. I think it's probably one of my favorite game modes, and I do play a lot of it. So hopefully it helps you guys out with who you guys want to prioritize in terms of what leaders. But like I said, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do what I said, all that stuff. Let's take a look at tier list for Grand Party leaders. Okay, so as of April, this was my Grand Party leader tier list. Now, April was only 2 months away. So you'd probably think there's not much to change. However, we've got a lot of changing to do. We have a lot of new characters, and a lot of them have Grand Party abilities and Grand Party bursts, and a lot of them have some pretty nice stuff. Obviously, we have the 10th anniversary characters, which have changed up the meta like drastically. We have some newer characters that can kind of see some play too. Obviously, since this particular recording, I believe, they've drastically changed the rule set in the sense that they've made particular rules much more prevalent. However, the meta team still reigns supreme. Slashes, strength, quick driven, free spirit, the new int team, all of those 5 teams basically rule what you see in Grand Party. And obviously, with whatever classes, colors, the Grand Party burst or passive buffs is going to affect where these particular characters sit. Because remember, you have to bring this character on the team to make that team function. And that can be a deficit for a lot of these characters, because some characters are just bad in Rumble, but they could have good Grand Parties, or they could be good PvP units and bad Grand Party abilities. So if we have a look down the bottom here, we've got the bad tier, like these characters you just don't use. 41 to 50, like they're pretty close to being bad. 31 to 40, 21 to 30, pretty much from like here upwards is like where you can kind of use characters. 11 to 20, 4 to 10, and then we have the Covenant top 3, and a lot's going to change in that top 3, trust me. Like, it's just stay to the end, because like there's going to be some big changes. As for Mori Perona, I'm going to drop Mori Perona. Driven, not where it needs to be. Cerebral, definitely not where it needs to be. They're bad. They're just a bad character. Same with Dofi Sugar. I tried using Dofi Sugar, man. The fact that I had them so high is crazy to me. Dofi Sugar is bad. Do not use Dofi and Sugar. Who else up here definitely needs to be dropped? This Uta can be dropped down. Once upon a time, she was good, and they tried to make her better, but I don't think she's a 31 to 40 unit anymore. Like, definitely not. Super Lieutenant Luffy's not terrible. He could probably make his way up here somewhere. Robin and Koala. I don't even know what Robin and Koala do. I actually haven't been through a lot of the GP bursts and stuff lately. So if I don't really remember much, like, that's where they're probably going to sit, like, down here, to be completely honest with you. Robin and Koala, though, what do? They do Dex, Ints, not great, and then Free Spirit stuff. Yeah, like, nerfing Free Spirit's quite nice, but they're not exactly the be-all end-all. We're going to have to bring some characters down, though, because we're going to be a lot of changing. So let's bring some characters onto the tier list, and then we'll probably go from there. That might be the best way to go about it. So, Law and Beppo. Law and Beppo came out, and they are a Cerebral Slasher character. They're very interesting in Rumble in the sense that they boost Cerebrals and Slashers. However, if you're on a Cerebral team, they do damage, and if they're on a Slasher team, they heal. You definitely can use this character on Slasher teams. I did it. I made a Cerebral Slasher team. That also worked really nicely. However, in Grand Party, not exactly the greatest. Slash, any character that buffs Slasher, though, is always going to sit nice and high. The new Int team is very, very good, so you can do some really fun stuff with Int, and then obviously Int is very good with Cerebral, so there's a lot of very good synergy there with Law and Beppo. I would probably say Law Beppo probably sits in the top 10, probably in 11 to 22, which means that we're going to have to drop some characters down, and we're going to be doing a lot of movements towards the back end. So the fact that Int is now getting a huge rise in terms of what Luffy's actually providing, and then having a lot of cerebral characters like Atlas and Pudding and the new 6+ Bonnie, this Lord Beppo definitely can actually work very nice as a leader. I think the downside to Lord Beppo is their special. They do a lot of healing, but you can do it 4 times, which is really nice. And then they just end up doing like a whole bunch of healing, which is like whatever. So the burst is kind of missed, but the passive's really, really nice. Most of the time, a burst will make a unit rather than a passive. However, this particular unit does have a very, 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 very nice passive. The other unit that came out alongside them was Kid Killer. Kid Killer are a powerhouse-driven booster. They can fit in on the Driven Powerhouse team. However, Driven Powerhouse is kind of just bad. Their abilities buff Dex Int Powerhouse Driven. Their burst is pretty easy to get after 25,000 damage dealt. And then they can use it 4 times, where they reduce the CD by 30%, and they increase action bind and do a bunch of damage. Their burst is actually pretty good. The thing that lets them down is their passive. The passive being only for Dex and Int isn't great, but obviously you can just run other teams. Another big downside to the character is you have to put him on you have to actually put them on a team. Putting them on a team makes it very, very challenging because Powerhouse suck, Driven suck. Like, you don't want to be running these teams, and a lot of the other good characters that kind of make that team usable, you're going to find them on other teams, like S-Hawk on Slashers, for example, rather than on Driven. So, bit of a shame. They're actually a really good unit when you're up against type advantage. They do destroy Powerhouse characters, and you can do some fun stuff there. But, yeah, look, at the end of the day, I just don't think Kid Killer are where they need to be. I'm going to leave the anniversary characters till last, for obvious reasons, because like anniversary characters are like the fun stuff. Taking a look now at the new 6+ Luffy, the Dex 6+ Luffy. Now, obviously he got a side grade being a fighter booster, which can be a little bit of a problem because they have the Strength Gear 5. But that doesn't mean that he can't be used. I would still run Strength Gear 5, but at the end of the day, you still have the option to use this particular unit. So, he has a passive that buffs CT speed of Dex by level 2, and he does level 2 defense, miss down, and then he buffs Psi, and then he buffs fighters as well. Unfortunately, his special 2, by the way, does 5 times attack to one enemy, and then gives 100% CD reduction to Dex. Very similar to the last Gear 5, but he just does fighters now. He doesn't do Dex. Well, I mean, I think this guy did fighters too, right? He's pretty much the same from what I can see. The downside now is that Psi is really bad because they're so Free Spirit orientated. And like I said, Free Spirit in Grand Party can just be countered so easily. Like, Psi Free Spirit wasn't the greatest to begin with, but having now Gear 5 in the game, it really diminishes the power of these particular characters. Again, you can run Free Spirit because Free Spirit's really good, but yeah, you got to be very, very careful with the Int Gear 5 running around. So, talking about the Sanji now, the new Sanji that came out for the Memories of the Straw Hat, he is a Psi-based booster, and he does a lot of nerfing to Int. So he might be the exception to our rule here that allows us to bring Psi-based teams. He buffs Free Spirit and Fighters, attack speed crit up level 4, does attack HP level 4 and special CT level 2 for Psi. Again, you have to run a Psi team, and he can be used on the Psi team. He's also going to target Psi and Int teammate type enemies for 5,000 damage after doing a bunch of damage himself. He can only use his burst 2 times, and for what his burst actually does, it's really not all that. Obviously, you could run Psi, you can run Psi Free Spirit, and his passive does allow him to run a lot of very good units. But nowadays, I think just probably slashes are just doing it a little bit better. I'm going to bring you down to 31 to 40. I think you are just bad. Like, not bad, but like, I'd much prefer running all these characters up here. I think I'm going to bring you down as well. Kid definitely is nowhere near as good, but I do think he's better than Kobe. But as for the Sanji that we're talking about, I haven't used Sanji, so look, let me know down below if you're a Sanji lover and you think, oh, Stump, this is outrageous, you can't put Sanji that low. There's no way. But look, Psy Free Spirit nowadays, I've been just gobbling up Psy Free Spirit, and it's been disgusting. Free Spirit, I've been gobbling up, and then Psy Free Spirit, which is weaker than the Free Spirit team, it's actually scary. As for this Zoro does intrigue me in PvP. He seems quite good in the sense that he's a pseudo version of the King of Hell Zoro, but also can do damage that goes through defense. I think he'll work great on a Dex-based team, but again, it's very similar to that same story. We have to bring Dex, and Dex in Grand Party can work. It's more of a suicide-based team, but the thing with Zoro is he buffs Psy as well. However, like I stated before, if any unit buffs slashes, you are going to be in for a good time. And he buffs slashes by level 2 HP, level 2 attack, and level 4 defense. He also targets slashes for healing and gives level 7 defense and shield for the entire team. To get his ability, you just need to receive damage 16 times as well. So this is actually a pretty easy ability to get. Having the ability to buff slashes will always make you very, very good. I don't know if he's as good as Zoro and Sanji is, which means we're going to have to bring you guys down. I think he's probably better than Kid Killer. That means we're going to bring you guys down here, like that. The fact that you boost Psy, though, is just a huge problem. I don't think you're as good as this Zoro. Yeah, I don't think you're as good as that Zoro. You're definitely better than Sanji, though. So I think you probably sit around this echelons. That Zoro does damage, though. Any damage dealer is always going to be a bit nicer. So I would run this Zoro on a Dex team, and that's what you could probably argue to me to say, hey, like, I'm happy to bring him. But, yeah, no, you're not running. You're not running this guy. So we're going to bring these guys down, and then we're going to do dink, dink, dink. Like I said, we're going to continuously keep changing the tier list as we go, and I guess that's just sort of the best way to go about these. However, we're moving on to the anniversary exclusives now, and this is where the stuff gets fun. We're going to start off with Roger, the anniversary exclusive. I'm actually using Roger right now in my day 1 Grand Party fights. I was very critical on Roger the first time I used him. I did get him day 5 of the Grand Party that came for the 10th anniversary. So look, I was critical, and I was probably a little bit unjust because I wasn't using him to the most correct that you could possibly use him. In Rumble, he's pretty good, and he's a staple in the Dex team. His passive buffs Strength, Dex, and Quick, and he's not exactly the greatest passive, purely because it only buffs those types. However, it does level 5 attack, HP, speed, and level 3 defense. This is fantastic for a new player, because it's very easy to build out the primary color teams. It might not be the meta team, but like it's still very easy to build out those particular teams. You can use your special 3 times, and all you have to do is use 4 Rumble specials, which is ridiculously easy to get. For the first 50 seconds of battle, he does a 60% HP cut. For the last 50 seconds, he does 15,000 damage to 2 enemies with the highest HP. It is a lot of damage in the back end of a fight, and it's a lot of damage in the first half of the fight. If you're fighting something like Gear 5 Int, you're going to charge the burst very, very quickly, and Strength and Quick have very, very powerful teams. The downside to Roger is you have to run Dex. Now, Dex isn't the best Grand Party team, but it does have its uses in the meta, being a very good sacrificial lamb team. I find that it works great because it's very bulky at tanking bursts. Whether it's Gear 5, 6+, whether it's the Int Gear 5, Roger on a Dex team with a bunch of other units can tank bursts very, very easily. And he does it very, very nicely. I'm going to put him up here in the top 10. I don't exactly know where I'm going to put him in the top 10, but I do think he's a very, very powerful unit. I've been running him with slashes in the front, and it's working way better than I was when using Quick Driven Slasher. Quick Driven Slasher are good, but I do find if they don't get a lot of help from either the rule set or the leader, they can struggle just a little bit. Plus, Slashers can use specials very quickly, which in turn charges Roger's burst very, very quickly. So with that said, we're going to have to bring Sanji on down, and then we're going to bring Zoro Sanji. Zoro Sanji can boost slashes, so I think they're very, very good. I think Ace has definitely dropped off because Psy and Free Spirit are quite bad. Kobe Kaido's honestly... Actually, no, Int got a buff, so, like, Kaido actually comes up here somewhere, to be honest. Yeah, I think Kaido definitely comes up here. I'm going to bring Momo down, because Momo's just got better options, and then I'm going to bring both of these two down here. Lately, I think Burgess is definitely bad, and I definitely think that this particular Luffy is bad as well. Roger is basically just a straight buff version of this V2 Straw Hats. The ability to, like I said, get a 60% HP cutoff is great, especially in a third fight, because what you can do is if you have 2 bursts and you use the dex strat to tank 2 shots from Gear 5 on fight number 2, you win the first fight with something like slashes, and then you have 2 Roger bursts at your disposal. The upside to having 3. Bink a 60% HP cut, use 4 specials, ride it out to the 50-second mark, and then use the 2 damage shots. Roger can actually do really, really nice stuff, and I definitely undersold how powerful of a unit he actually is. Very, very nice stuff. And everyone that was riding him, I see what you're talking about. He's a very, very good leader. Next, we've got Ace. Ace suffers, again, from the same issue that Roger suffers from, that purely you have to run a Dex team. However, just like Roger, you can use that Sacrificial Lamb tactic, and both Roger and Ace belong on the Dex team. After 40 seconds of battle, so all you gotta do is wait 40 seconds, you can get Ace's Burst, which you can actually use 4 times. Yeah, you can use it 4 times, which is kind of nuts. He targets 2 enemies with a high HP for defense down level 15. It's a lot of defense down. And then does 5 times his attack in damage. It's only against 2 enemies, but it is a lot of damage. He buffs Dex-type teammates, defense level 6, attack up level 5, and then fighter, shooter, free spirit to get level 7 speed and 4% blowaway up. He's a phenomenal leader. Phenomenal leader. Downside to him is that free spirits are dropping off, and Dex have that issue of being Dex. However, I would much rather run something like Ace over something like Big Mom. However, you are bringing that free spirit team 9 out of 10 times. If you are going up against Int Gear 5, that's where Big Mom probably has a little bit more of the edge, because you're going to be bringing your own Int-based team that probably has Gear 5 on it. But at that point, you kind of just, why would you not use Gear 5 in? So I'm going to put him right above Big Mom. I do think that's probably a really good spot for him. And the character I'm going to drop down into 11 to 20 is Shanks, purely because he runs Psy. He also runs Quick, which is a little bit of a problem. Like, Quick-driven Slasher are good, but, like, they need a lot more help than just a passive, rather than, like, what he's doing in terms of his burst. I do love this Shanks. I think the Shanks is phenomenal. However, he does have a few problems. I'm also going to bring Luffy Yamato down as well. Luffy Yamato, again, buffing Free Spirit is a bit of a problem. So, I'm going to bring Uta down. She has that Psy issue, unfortunately. And then I'm going to bring this Uta down too. Cerebral's just not exactly there. And Quick, again, they're not getting that much buffs from something like a passive. I'm a big fan of what Uta's burst is actually doing, though. Saying that, then, we're going to, just by natural selection, we're going to drop you guys down to the next tier. I think Kid Luffy... Yeah, Nami can come down to... Look, Nami's got a good passive, but, like, I think Nami's probably just bad in that sort of regard. Kid definitely needs to come down. Kid Luffy definitely needs to come down too. This Uto definitely is bad. And I think Hiyori's probably quite bad as well. Could probably say Super Tandem Shanks is quite bad too. I think that's probably... And honestly, probably the wife is as well. We'll make some changes once we get to the back end, because we do only have 2 more units. And I think we definitely need to bring up some characters as well. I'm going to bring Law up here. Again, having the Slasher tag makes you just infinitely better. What else? I think if we're looking at these characters here, I'll bring the waifus back up. Waifus can say that. Alright. So, moving on to Shanks now. Let's take a look at Shanks. Shanks is phenomenal. In PvP, Shanks definitely blew away a lot of people. I don't think people realize how good Shanks is in PvP until they actually started to use Shanks in PvP. Unlike most characters in PvP, Shanks buffs a bunch of classes. He targets Cerebral, Powerhouse Slasher, and Driven teammates for attack up level 5, speed up level 5, defense up level 5. This is with his special too, by the way. Level 3 shield, and then he does 20% reduction for attack style teammates for, yeah, 20%. So you put him on an attack-based team, he does a lot of CD reduction, plus he does it 4 times his attack and damage as well. In in terms of his passive, he buffs those 4 classes, so Cerebral Power, Slasher, and Driven. All very, very good classes within the meta that you can scatter across particular teams. But the big ones, obviously, is Slasher. Like, he just walked in on the Slasher team. HP up level 7, attack up level 7, recovery up level 5, speed up level 5 for himself, and increased level 5 defense for himself. So you can use him as just like a defensive weapon, as well as in having a very, very nice special. But today we're talking about Grand Party, and in Grand Party, he basically does all those same things for those classes. Whenever you use 3 Rumble specials. 3 Rumble specials. Yeah, you heard that right. 3. It's so easy to get. Plus, you can use his burst 4 times. 4 times. Wild. He targets Cerebral Power, Slasher Driven teammates, attack up level 6, speed up level 6, defense level 6, targets the team for a 20% reduction, so you get 20% cooldowns after 3 units use specials, and then targets 1 enemy with high HP for 4 times damage that ignores defense. This is a lot of damage. It's a beautiful passive. It's a terrific unit, and honestly, he's up here in my top 10. Obviously, any units that, again, buffing slashes is going to sit high, nice and high on my tier list. His passive buffs Cerebral Power, Slasher Driven teammates, attack up, HP up, CT speed level 3, level 6 in attack and HP, crit up level 5. It's fantastic. It's a great passive. The downside is it doesn't buff any other colors or anything like that. So you are kind of restricted just to class-based teams, which can be a little bit of a problem. It's just a little bit of a problem. It's not like a massive problem. It's just a little bit of a problem. A little bit of a problem. But he fits on so many different teams. You can run him on like that in team. Obviously, you're gonna bring him on slashes, but like you can use this guy anywhere. And that passive, that burst, is just going to do absolute wonders. I'm going to bring Roger down, looking at this now, because the half stat mechanic definitely has fallen off, because a lot of units don't really benefit from the half stats. Another thing I'm going to do, actually, is I'm going to bring Luffy down to about here. I think this Luffy has fallen off drastically. Drastically fallen off. He's definitely seen his time. I don't even run him on the side team anymore, and obviously being side free spirit based, that bodes its own problems. As for units that I want to bring down, I'm going to bring Big Mom down now. Again, she has to buff Dex. She has Powerhouse Driven, but Driven's not great. And honestly, I'm going to bring Yamato down as well. Yamato is actually really good in Grand Party. I'm a big fan of using Yamato, but I just don't think she's exactly where she needs to be. Next, I'm going to bring Luffy and Yamato down. I know Luffy and Yamato fell from the sky, man. Like, they're just... Unfortunately, you have to bring them on a team, and it can be very, very challenging to do that. And then another unit I'm going to bring down too is Roger and Whitebeard. Roger and Whitebeard are great in the sense that they buff slashes, but I would much rather run some of these other slasher boosters. I'm going to also do this as well. Speaking of slasher characters that are going to come down, we're going to do stuff like this. We're going to do something like this, and we're going to have to make one more move down anyway, so I'm actually going to bring Kobe down. Kobe, yeah, because you can run Odin on slashes and still be fine. Like I said, any unit that can kind of work on a team is always going to be like much nicer to use, so awesome. Last unit we have, the crux of the crux, the new... Can I get a drum roll, please? The new king of Grand Party in my eyes. This particular unit skyrocketed to the top, and he has demolished the free spirit meta. Ironically, it's another Gear 5. This particular Gear 5 has just blown away what this Gear 5 is actually trying to do. This Gear 5 6+, by the way, you still can use. However, if you go up against Ink Gear 5, you better hope your ass you don't come up against the Imp Gear 5, because like he's going to blow you away. The Free Spirit team just cannot hold its own against it. It can still work, because this Gear 5 needs to tank damage, where this one needs to deal damage, so you can get their bursts at very similar times. However, this Gear 5 needs a little bit less damage than what this Gear 5 needs to output, so you can actually get this first, use the burst, have this guy use his burst, charge up your burst again, and use it once again. So I feel like he was just put in the game to just straight counter Gear 5 6+. However, he just destroys all free spirits. And if you see a Gear 5 6+, you just put your Luffy team that you've built in that spot, whether it's side free spirit, whether it's regular free spirit, that int team is going to absolutely demolish it. There's just not a world that it ever works better than what that int team is actually trying to do. So he can apply a very annoying ability too, that he's the only character in the game that can do it. It's called Forced Out. And that Forced Out ability is just absolutely disgusting. The enemy is Free Spirit, which there's a lot of Free Spirit characters on other teams. So if you're running against Free Spirit, this guy is going to absolutely demolish them. If you're running against Dex and you have stuff like Ace and Sanji, or if you have Slashes with Zoro Sanji, if you have Strength with like Law and Odin, K-Dad, these types of units here, these are all Free Spirit characters, and all of these units will just get blown out of the game and just help you not only get the win, but also beat out other characters that are either threats or big problems to like handle or deal with. For example, if the enemy is running, say, 3 Free Spirits on a Strength team, you blow away those 3 Strength units, or say the Slasher team, for example, and you're funneling all your damage in on Roger and Whitebeard or the Strength Luffy, wherever he went, this guy here, you funnel all your damage in on something like that, then you don't have to worry about these big threats actually taking your team down. So he's just been a lot of fun to use. I've seen a lot of people running him. Be very, very careful when you're going up against him, because he's an absolute threat and a very, very difficult character to deal with. The Forced Out mechanic, it's absolutely broken, and it is just absolutely toppled what any Free Spirit character is actually doing. So he takes my number 1 spot. Gear 5, 6+ moves down to 2nd. Roger and Odin will move down to 3rd. I still think Roger and Odin, they're your best option when you're looking at your quick stuff. Zoro's still nice, but I just think Roger and Odin, it's just a way better option. The thing with Zoro is he buffs Free Spirits and then quick slashes, I believe, where you're doing stuff with strikers. The strikers have fallen off the face of the earth, but like you can still do some stuff with them, or you can still do stuff. This burst is just way better than what Zoro's providing. There's new Shanks and Roger. I'm going to put in 4th and 5th. I think that I'm actually pretty comfortable leaving them there. I'm so surprised at what this guy's doing. And then the new Ace, I'm going to stick it just after Zoro. I don't think he's as good. And this Gear 5 Luffy's just fallen off. Roger is on his way out. I think Roger's almost seen his time. Honestly, I think he has. I'm going to do that. If you haven't tried this Yamato, go try her out. She's so friggin' good. Roger's the half stat problem is that a lot of units are actually immune to half stats nowadays, which means like you can't really do that much damage to them with some of your bursting mechanics. So there's just better options now. I think this Roger's probably like, no, that 15k is crazy. Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with that. But let me know your thoughts and opinions. Do you agree with me? Do you think the new Gear 5 is the best Grand Party leader in the entire game, or do you guys disagree? Let me know down below. While you're down there, belt the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, whether you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.